Hello, how are you doing? June is Pride Month, so raising awareness about LGBT issues and visibility of LGBT individuals. And as a gay man, I am naturally invested in this and so want to get involved by making a TBR of LGBT books to read over the course of June. So I'm going to go through those 6 books that I picked, and I'd love to know if you have any LGBT books that you're planning to read over the course of June. Please let me know about them in the comments below. And for this special video, I've worn my t-shirt of the Flaming Saddles Saloon in New York, a bar in New York that I went to many years ago, and it was quite difficult to get this t-shirt. I had to sort of purchase it from the bartenders while they were busy like making drinks and things like that. I don't even know if this bar exists anymore. If there are any New Yorkers watching this video, let me know if it actually still exists, but had a really fun time there that evening. And I always feel like with LGBT books, like I ought to be reading more. I feel this kind of sense of guilt sometimes that maybe I'm not reading enough, or because I mean I do read quite a lot, but just sort of in the natural course of my other reading. And I think it's good to have like a varied amount of reading in your life. But yeah, I don't know. I have this weird like sense of guilt sometimes that, oh, maybe I should read more. So, you know, I look forward to events like Pride Month when I can, you know, self-consciously make this list of books to read, of LGBT books to read. And I have a varied like list, I think, of some like older books and some newer books, some that have been published this year, one which is just about to be published. So I'll start off talking about the one which is being published at the very beginning of June, which is The Wedding Heard Round the World. But it's the story of Michael McConnell and Jack Baker, as told by Gail Langer-Karowski. I assume she sort of like collaborated with them and learned about them to tell their story for them or with them, or so yeah, this is about the first American legal gay marriage, which occurred in September of 1971, so quite a long time ago. And it's about the story of their relationship, how they met, the story of them undergoing this first legal gay marriage in the United States, and then what happened afterwards. And yeah, just seems like a really lovely tale, and illustrated with some photos of like when they first met, and yeah, and telling their whole story. So yeah, this is a nonfiction book. I'm looking forward to reading this. Next is another memoir, and it's Unicorn by Amrou Al-Kadhi, and this came out a couple years ago, I think, and I've just haven't got to it yet. I've been really wanting to. This is the story of the author's life growing up in a strict Muslim Iraqi household, and at the age of 10 they declared to their family that they were in love with Macaulay Culkin, which didn't go down very well with their family. And so yeah, it follows the story of Amrou's life growing up and moving to another country and becoming a fabulous drag queen. And yeah, I've heard such great things about this book. It sounds like an incredible story, and so yeah, another book I'm really looking forward to finally getting to. Next is a book I talked about at the beginning of the year as a classic that I've been wanting to read, and that is The Well of Loneliness by Radclyffe Hall. Quite a big chunky book, but yeah, a real gay classic about a Victorian woman that dresses in more masculine clothing and is attracted to women, and talks about the relationships that she has and the complications of being in that position. And yeah, I've just always wanted to read this. I think because it's quite a long book, it's just one that I've never got around to, but I'm like committing to it now. Yes, in June I will read this book. Next is another recent publication, which is 100 Boyfriends by Brontez Purnell. Brontez Purnell is an American writer, musician, dancer, filmmaker, and performance artist. And this is a collection of short stories celebrating queer love in all its different forms, especially in its many messy different forms. And yeah, that really intrigues me and makes me really look forward to reading it. And yeah, I'm looking forward to getting to some short stories that maybe I can read aloud to my partner and we can enjoy them together. Jack Holmes and His Friend by Edmund White. This is a novel which was published back in 2012, and I love Edmund's writing. I've read a number of his books, and he's a friend of mine. I've been to stay at his place in New York multiple times, and is just a wonderful person. But I've never got around to reading this novel, and I don't know why. It hasn't got on my list yet, and just haven't got around to it. And I love the sound of the story though, because it's about two men in the 60s. One is straight and one is gay, and it's about their long-term friendship. And I think it's so fascinating that the subject of friendship between gay men and straight men, and one that hasn't been covered all that much. I mean, one of the most fulfilling things I've found as an adult is cultivating friendships with straight men, which as a teenager and a child, like, I definitely didn't have all that many. I mean, I did have some best male friends who were straight, but yeah, I just didn't have that wide range of male friends like I do now. And so yeah, I think it's such an interesting subject, and to explore it in this historical context, you know, in a time before gay liberation, is a really interesting way to approach it. And then finally, I want to get to reading An Ordinary Wonder by Buki Papillon. This is a novel which was first published earlier this year, and it is the story of Otto, who is a child in Nigeria that is forced to live as a boy when they really feel themselves to be a girl. And so it's the story of Otto's childhood and struggles and relationships with their twin sister, and and it's the story of Nigerian family life. And it sounds so intriguing and good, and has such a beautiful cover. So those are the 6 books that I'm hoping to read over the course of June. Let me know if you've read any of these books or have any thoughts about them, or if you're interested in reading them yourself. Or like I said, let me know in the comments below if you have any LGBT books that you're hoping to read over the course of June, or anytime soon. You know, you can read them anytime, obviously. But I hope you're reading good things. I'll speak to you again soon. Bye-bye.